don't expect the Fed to kind of steal your money. I mean, if the Fed can print all the money at once, it's not going to like mess around with your bookkeeping. So, we have this big spreadsheet, the blockchain if you want, but it's just managed by the Fed. And it's very cheap, much cheaper than Bitcoin, if you're willing to delegate the responsibility to a third party. But then the downsides to all of that, of course, is you'd actually, suppose you didn't want the Fed to be responsible for processing the payments. I mean, suppose, the Fed will likely impose some KYC restrictions on some purchases. They might not process some purchases that you might want to undertake. And so it was at that point that I said, well, we could, if we wanted to, extend the concept one step further. I'm not saying that this is ever going to happen, but just conceptually, you could imagine not FedWire for all, but kind of like a Fed coin, where what the Fed would do is actually just issue these, Bitcoin-like objects, but and they would enforce a par exchange rate with the U.S. dollar. That would eliminate the exchange rate volatility. But they could delegate the clearing of these payments to some third party, some sort of Ripple-like protocol.
Others was like the rise of other CBDCs. So I do work in the US. We work with the Fed, and we work with the academic, a number of universities that also work with the Fed. And the geopolitical impact of CBDCs is one of the topics that we've been working on. And when China announced the digital yuan, that suddenly made the Fed, the US Fed, wake up and go, oh, hang on a minute. This is scary because the dollar is still the primary currency for global trade, reserve currency, and if the digital yuan becomes widely used outside of China, that could be a threat to the dollar.
We making moves. We making major moves. We making moves. We making major moves. We going all in like we got nothing to lose. We making moves. We making major moves.
What's up, everybody? I'm Mr. Man. Welcome back to my channel. I want to go over CBDCs with you because there's a lot of misconception out there in the crypto sphere, in the crypto world. For the new people, for the old people, for people in between, most people have no concept of what an actual CBDC is. They believe it to be currency. They believe it to be money, which it in fact is not. So I'm going to take you through just a short video here. This is about a document put out by Capco. This is understanding of the Drex, the white paper. Drex is the CBDC platform within Brazil. And it's just understanding Drex. And then it says the digital real. So I understand why there's a lot of misconception out there, why people think the Drex is the digital real. Okay? Or why a CBDC is an actual currency. But it's not. A CBDC, central bank digital currency, is a platform, a central bank platform, and the currency that resides on that platform is a stable coin. Okay, so digitalization is rapidly transforming industries and economies around the world, and Brazil's no exception. The digital Brazilian real, or Drex, see how they confuse the two or conflate the two to cause confusion? The digital Brazilian real, or Drex initiative, sees the Central Bank of Brazil embracing the potential to improve the efficiency of the retail payments market and promote competition and financial inclusion, particularly for populations still underserved by banking services. The Drex, this is the platform that the Brazilian real will utilize within the Brazil ecosystem, promises to revolutionize the way the countries conduct its business and boost the Brazilian economy. Listen to this. As a central bank digital currency, the proposed Drex will be an electronic form of sovereign money. See how that's confusing? That serves as an extension of traditional fiat money such as banknotes and coins. When announcing the digital real in May 2021, the Central Bank of Brazil cited 4 properties: keeping up with dynamic technological evolution, enhancing efficiencies, fostering new business models, and encouraging Brazil's participation in regional and global economic scenarios through increased efficiency in cross-border transactions. Confusing as shit, huh? Tell me that's not confusing. So let's go back here. So this here's Drex for Gringos with Rafael Castaneda and Leandro Piera. I can't pronounce his last name. I'm not even gonna try. That tongue roll just came out fluently. You know, proud of that one. Proud of that one. Anyways, listen to what this gentleman has to say about the Drex and the digital real. Okay.
So that's it, and I had like the great idea of writing like a three-part Drex for Gringos, which is in my LinkedIn and Medium, and if you go to Brazil Crypto Report, you will find it. Because I noticed that a lot of people were actually curious about Drex, not from Brazil, and most of them had like a wrong idea about what was being done here, you know? Like those basic things, like Drex is not a coin. Drex is the platform, you know? So the digital real is the coin, you know, the token.
So there you have it. The Drex is the platform. The digital real, the stable coin, is the token within the Drex platform. The Drex platform itself, okay, is a form of a blockchain. The digital real is a token not native to the Drex platform. That's why it's a token and not a coin. Does that make sense? I'll show you how it looks from the Fed's point of view, the Federal Reserve. So the Fed's been terrible with money, printing and minting and sending out too much money into the ecosystem. So a bill called the No CBDC Act came out in 2023 of the 118th Congress. No CBDC Act. What does that mean? There will not be, or there may not be, a CBDC platform within the US. There can still be a currency, but no platform that the US is going to necessarily control. Okay? Last year in May also, the House passes the CBDC Anti-Surveillance State Act, meaning there's no surveillance within the CBDC platform that the US doesn't have. So the US, okay, so let's get this facts right, okay? So there's a digital real, there's a digital platform known as the CBDC or the Drex. The US can't have a CBDC platform. There's a no CBDC platform bill for the US. There's a anti-CBDC surveillance state act in the US. So they can't have the CBDC. They don't have a platform. So where could that platform come from? Okay, so check it out.
Fed is, people say, how can you trust, the Fed to do the bookkeeping? I mean, like I said, my response is, well, you don't expect the Fed to kind of steal your money. I mean, if the Fed can print all the money at once, it's not going to like mess around with your bookkeeping. So, we have this big spreadsheet, the blockchain if you want, but it's just managed by the Fed, and it's very cheap, much cheaper than Bitcoin, if you're willing to delegate the responsibility to a third party. But then the downsides to all of that, of course, is you'd actually suppose you didn't want the Fed to be responsible for processing the payments. I mean, suppose, the Fed will likely impose some KYC restrictions on some purchases. They might not process some purchases that you might want to undertake. And so it was at that point that I said, well, we could, if we wanted to, extend the concept one step further. I'm not saying that this is ever going to happen, but just conceptually, you could imagine not FedWire for all, but kind of like a Fed coin, where what the Fed would do is actually just issue these, Bitcoin-like objects, but and they would enforce a par exchange rate with the U.S. dollar. That would eliminate the exchange rate volatility. But they could delegate the clearing of these payments to some third party, some sort of Ripple-like protocol. Or
Others was like the rise of other CBDCs. So I do work in the US. We work with the Fed, and we work with the academic, a number of universities that also work with the Fed. And the geopolitical impact of CBDCs is one of the topics that we've been working on. And when China announced the digital yuan, that suddenly made the Fed, the US Fed, wake up and go, oh, hang on a minute. This is scary because the dollar is still the primary currency for global trade, reserve currency, and if the digital yuan becomes widely used outside of China, that could be a threat to the dollar.
So We know that the CBDC can be outsourced or delegated to another company, such as a Ripple company. Ripple, that was James Wallace afterwards, had stated that we work with the Fed. This here is David Schwartz in his own presentation. I'll let you see what he puts up, all right? Check it out. So now this is David Schwartz. I'll take it even a step further, okay? I'll let him tell you what he has to say. Listen to this.
So that's where Ripple comes in. Ripple's been working on this payment use case. We have over 210 team members. Now it's over 250.
Okay, so this is David Schwartz's slide, right? Again, not my slides. I didn't create any of this stuff here. I'm just going through videos, piecing the pieces together to present it to you, and you come to your own conclusion. But here it is again, the Fed right here. That's this symbol. Swift right here. I have further proof to show you Swift. People are like, Swift's never going to use XRP. They're never going to touch Ripple stuff. Yada, yada. Grow up, all right? Grow up. This is a world of interoperability where it has to be one seamless ecosystem. You hear these individuals talking like, we don't want siloed companies anymore. We don't want individual. It's interoperability. That's what ISO 20022 is all about. So anybody who talks against that, I would suggest stop listening to them because they lack information and they lack fundamentals. NASA, SEC, and CFTC. You see Apple, Yahoo, PayPal, Deloitte, JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley, Fiserv. All right. Let me go in deeper now into this right here, Swift. So this is a video here discussing, this is a governing standard body here, okay? Discussing ISO and ISO 20022 Registration Management Group, the RMG. And I'll take this even further after this. Listen to this, okay?
But ISO 20022 is a standard that defines a method to develop financial messages. And SWIFT, in its capacity as registration authority, works with the market and the various entities within the RMG to make those messages available and ultimately publish in ISO 20022.org. So although it's the same entity, it's different from the messaging services that SWIFT provides, but they play an important role to make those messages available. So this was the organizational construct.
So SWIFT is the management, part of the management who oversees this ISO 20022. Now let's check out the rest of the team. Remember that word there? Registration Management Group. Let's see who this Registration Management Group is. So here we are on the ISO's official page. Registration Management Group, all right? Member list. Let's see who these people are. We have Australia, Brazil, Canada, Finland, Bank of England, and eventually the DTCC, ECB, Finland. We're going to get down to the US, and let's see who the US management is. Huh? Who do you see? What do you see? RippleNet's. So essentially, that's within the US, right? That's the US. So the Fed can delegate their funds to the US, to Ripple. Ripple can manage the US funds, they manage the CBDC platform. They can manage the CBDC platform. The Fed manages the funds. All right. Ripple's official page here, January 11th, 2020. ISO shaping the future of cross-border payments. Okay, now we're thrilled to share Ripple as part of the ISO 20022 Registration Management Standards body, and the first member focused on DLT. This membership enables us to meet the needs of our 300 plus customers by helping define the future direction of cross-border payments standards to evolve the ISO 20022 standard. Through this membership, Ripple is able to contribute our experience and expertise in the application of 20022 standard to cross-border payments and its use in DLT data structures in our standardized API. In fact, Ripple and our customers on RippleNet are pioneering ISO for cross-border payments adoption of ISO For domestic ACH and RTGS. RTGS is real-time gross settlement systems, has become widespread over the past 10 years, but so far its use by others has been limited in cross-border payments. So this was put out May 2020. Ripple announced that it has become part of the ISO standards body, a multi-part international standard set to replace SWIFT's current MT messages and aimed at a single standardized approach. So a single standardized approach, meaning they'll be utilized alongside SWIFT. Now let me show you this even deeper. So here we are on SWIFT's page, official page. I have a membership to SWIFT. Okay, messaging MT and MX messaging here. 2025, let's see the implementations. So in February, there'll be an update to standard MT. There'll be a guide for it. Then there's vendor systems, vendor testing, going to be vendor testing for this new implementation of DLT. On July 18th, standard user handbook. This is for MT messaging. Again, they're phasing out MT messaging. And then there will be testing and training systems again in July. And then this is it. The standard release 2025 is live. Okay, I will go back up here and let's go to the MT messaging itself now. Schedule for Fin Plus and Funds standards release for 2025. Let's see the schedule here. In March, we have Fin Plus standard information publication. We have the cross-border payments remittance, whatever this is, the final edition. There's the vendor testing. Here's the pilot. So we'll be watching this date here, July 19th. This is the pilot for SWIFT to debut its DLT. And then boom, that's when it goes live. November 22nd, 2025. RippleNet is going to be the CBDC platform, or part of the CBDC plumbing. Okay, so this is the Ripple Solution Guide version 2. I'm not sure what version we're. This is 2016. But I'll give you an understanding of what it is, okay, that we're looking at here. So here, as we jump down to security on Ripple. Using Ripple, your customers' data remains private and secure behind your bank's firewall. Financial transaction history is recorded on the Ripple ledger. However, transactions are not linked to any identifiable information and cannot be directly associated with any individual account or your or your financial institution. The transaction value and fees represent the only information recorded on the public ledger. In addition, Ripple is releasing a private ledger. This is the private CBDC ledger platform. CBDCs are platforms. Version for financial institutions in which no information is tracked on a public ledger. Boom. So this was something put out from Australia here, or Ripple had written to the Australian government or New Zealand government in 2021, and I'll read you exactly what it's going to be like, because New Zealand and Australia have a similar setup to the Federal Reserve. So, using blockchain technology, Ripple allows financial institutions to process payments instantly, reliably, cost-effectively, and with end-to-end visibility anywhere in the world. RippleNet, our enterprise software solution, which is powered by a standardized application programming interface, or API, and built on the market-leading and open standard Interledger protocol, enables financial institutions to facilitate faster and less costly payments, cross-border payments, demonstrating that deep interoperability between commercial and financial institutions can make payments truly efficient, particularly in eliminating the uncertainty and risk historically involved in moving money across border using interbank messaging alone. Last document here. This was put out February 19th, 2021. Look at this, okay? Look at this. RippleNet and new global payment system. So check this out, okay? I'll read this little paragraph, this section. Recently, several banks, Royal Bank of Canada, Santander, UBS, have begun to use public permissioned account-based DLT system to transfer payments across border. The banks use the closed source banking software RippleNet that is sold by Ripple Labs and is different from Ripple's own currency, XRP. Remember, XRP is not their currency; they're just the custodians of that, so they have to custody it somewhere. Colloquially, okay, whatever, also referred to as Ripple, okay, access to this system is naturally permissioned. Participating banks are pre-selected by an administrator, i.e. Ripple Labs, so Ripple selects them. Who controls network access and sets the rules of the database? RippleNet is a distributed database that contains information about user accounts, balances, and trades. A trade or a payment is executed by making a valid change to the central ledger. Here, an interledger protocol connects the different payment record systems of all participating banks, from which it creates the central ledger. The central ledger is shared and maintained by all network members and represents every user's balance. Currencies enter and exit the RippleNet via gateways. Gateways, you can consider that like stellars, anchors, different companies as the end user, where the off-ramp is essentially. Where was I? So for example, banks, there you go. Analogously to traditional banks, these gateways accept currency deposits from customers and issue balances on the Ripple network. When a user wants to withdraw money from Ripple network, the existing balance is redeemed for security purposes. Every user of RippleNet must, must hold a small amount of XRP. Within the network, payments can either be processed directly via XRP debit payments or indirectly via path-based currency-agnostic IOUs. So the Fed will hold, if they don't already hold, XRP. Okay, I've already shown you guys that Nancy Pelosi, that was a previous video actually, that Nancy Pelosi has purchased XRP. We're in it to win it because we understand what's coming. I do hope you guys understand what's coming. So the West is basing their technology on, because we run off of fossil fuels, right? We're old school now. We run off of fossil fuels. So we run off of Bitcoin, if you will, as an energy source. In the East, they're running off of hydrogen, right? We're on the eve of the Industrial Revolution of the hydrogen production as the new energy. And that carries with it new digital currency payment platforms. That's what the East, the BRICS, CBDCs, platforms will be run off of. Their currencies will be carbon neutral, carbon whatever the heck they want to call it at that point.
Production, as we are on the eve of the industrial revolution of the hydrogen production as the new energy, and within that just the idea of the digital currency payment system within BRICS and Eurasian Union, it's very important and up to date.
We making moves. We making major moves. We making moves.